With all this talk about Rob Zombie's Munsters coming out, we stumbled upon a pilot Halloween special called Mockingbird Lane, and it is a Munsters reboot that we never got.
My grandpa's gonna eat you.
Kids.
I don't understand why this never became a real thing, but we recently found out about this one, and it has some fairly big names attached. This came out in 2012. It's written by Bryan Fuller, who's most known for the Hannibal series. Bryan Singer, who people know from like the X-Men series. He did X-Men, X-Men 2, Days of Future Past. He's a piece of shit, and we don't want to get into that because we don't want to spoil the video, but there were big people attached in 2012, including Jerry O'Connell as Herman Munster, Portia de Rossi as Lily Munster,
Eddie Izzard as Grandpa Munster.
It's a show that was set up for success that just never was. So all we got was a 40-minute special.
And I'm gonna say this right out the gate, nothing about this pilot looks like the Munsters. So when you look at the poster, when you look at it, unless you knew that the Munsters lived on Mockingbird Lane, you would have no idea that this was a Munsters movie, because Jerry O'Connell looks like Jerry O'Connell. He's not giant green with like a flat head. He just has stitches on him, and it's kind of like a CW twist, like kind of what they did with Riverdale and things like that, where it's darker and edgier. They've just changed the appearance of everybody.
Yeah, it's so interesting that this was a thing and NBC decided, you know what? We don't really like this. We're gonna do some other projects instead. That is so baffling to me because, well, this wasn't like the best show. It would have been great, and I think that a lot of people would have watched it, but nobody knew that this was gonna be a Munsters show, so it was just a 40-minute special. They just threw it out there, didn't have Munsters attached in the name, so nobody knows it exists, and it's not even that old.
10 years old, came out October 26, 2012. It was good. Like I was saying, it's darker and edgier, so there's a lot more violence involved. They're monsters, but it's not a wholesome comedy. That would have been a fun watch, to just take characters that were so wholesome, but have a darker side to them. Like Grandpa was just vicious.
He took off all of his clothes and then he ate a lion.
The grandpa did an amazing job. He was the funniest dude. They move into the suburbs and he's got these blood cookies and he's going over to Tim's house and he's talking to Tim and he gets him in the vampire trance. And it's hilarious. It is so funny.
Timothy, your house is a palace. Your wife is interesting.
But it's also contrasted by Jerry O'Connell. He's playing Hermie, and he's got a bad ticker. And he's got a little zipper on his chest because his heart gives out all the time because he loves too much. So they have to keep swapping out hearts.
Seems you broke your heart. Shame on you for being so sentimental.
And he has a heart attack, but they want to get a new heart, so it's a whole thing.
And it starts off with a bang. So the opening scene is a group of scouts in the forest, and next thing you know, Eddie, because you know it's Eddie, it's a werewolf just attacking people. And the fact that you see a kid zipped up in a sleeping bag just gets tossed into a tree and feathers pop up everywhere. Wow, this is happening. I want to see more. I'm interested, I'm invested.
Right, that is we want to kill a kid, but how can we do it in a fun way? For TV. Maybe that's why it didn't get picked up. We're killing kids, but it's just feathers, guys.
Yeah. Nobody died. They all survived in the car. It was good. And it has that low budget CGI. The wolf didn't look good. Grandpa in his bat body was something else. But again, you can look past that because what we're watching is entertaining.
And it was for TV. It was a pilot, so I imagine if they actually got picked up, they would have tightened some things up, but even it didn't really matter because this was 2012, so, lower standards, slightly lower standards. It seems like a lot of people now are just nope, everything should have always been really great.
As great as Lily's entrances into rooms.
Lily's entrance was actually so good. She was dust, and she just forms, but she's nude, and in come a bunch of spiders spiders, and I called it immediately. The spiders were gonna weave her a little dress, and they did a great job, honestly. Portia de Rossi, she looked good.
Her and Herman banged. They never banged in the original. That was that Leave It to Beaver wholesomeness. There was 2 beds. I mean, she was on the ceiling, but way to go, Jerry O'Connell.
I like Jerry O'Connell in general. I think he was great as well. Like, everybody was great.
You know, Marilyn did a good job, and like even Eddie Munster. Like, it looked like they were doing this as a build-up to Eddie acknowledging that he's a werewolf, like coming of age type of thing.
Yeah, and that's what this was. Like, he didn't know his family was weird, so they were making jokes about like hair growing in certain parts of your body, and you'll notice some changes.
What about growing hair everywhere?
Where else does it grow?
It's just a really fun idea, and the rest of the series would have just elaborated on that. Him trying to explain to his friends, or like trying to avoid going out at certain events and stuff like that. There's so much to work with here. The house looked amazing. You've got this like secret underground thing where the stairs lift up. I don't know, everything was just fun.
Well, I wouldn't change a hair on your body, no matter where they may grow.
Are we having that conversation?
There were heartfelt moments, but every time Grandpa spoke, he was either making a joke or he was like just shutting somebody down in such a way that it's like, oh my God, this guy's the best, because he just wants to eat everybody.
I didn't mean for me to be a surprise.
I meant for you to be a surprise.
Your surprises make me nervous.
We don't want to go on too much about this because we don't want to make a 40-minute video about a 40-minute episode. That doesn't make sense. This just feels like a show that should have existed that I don't think a lot of people know about, and I think everybody should go and watch. That's why we didn't break this whole thing down. It's only 40 minutes. You'll have a blast. If you watch this in October, it fits the vibe. It's super fun. It's something that I wish panned out, and I could have seen it going on for several seasons of being a hit. Unfortunately, I don't run NBC.
So this literally is the Munsters reboot we never got.